All right, good evening, tribe. How you guys doing? This is Love and Hip Hop, season 4, episode 5. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's just jump on in. We know that this episode ended with the Boogie intervention. So look, we're gonna do that last. Let me just run through the rest because the rest of the storylines was really some bullshit. Um, Romeo and Angela and Orlando, they left with the cliffhanger of them going in the hotel room and the door closing. We know good and daggone well that they didn't sleep together. But we see them having a conversation and, Romeo flirting and that kind of thing. And basically Angela says, look, I'm just not in that space right now. Like I'm just not in a good place for any type of relationship. And Romeo's like, with us, it's just always a timing thing. But I get it, she didn't just come out of a relationship. It was a fiance. She has a child. She has to figure out, everything for herself. And then she talks to him about the project she wanted to do with her sister, but because of the non-compete, she feels like she's not going to be able to do it now. And she's really not sure, I guess how to approach it with her sister or what her sister's reaction is going to be. Then we see her meet with her sister to tell Vanessa, look, I have this opportunity with Coogee, but that means that I have to sign a non-compete and then we're not going to be able to work together. And Vanessa was disappointed, but I don't feel like Vanessa did anything or said anything. She was just like, okay, well, I'm disappointed. I'm almost starting to feel like you don't want to do anything with me at this point. Like, I feel like you don't want to do a project with me. And Angela's like, well, where are you getting that from? Like, that's not true. I don't know why you feel that way. And then Vanessa starts to bring up other examples of things, of projects that they haven't been able to work together. And she brings up the fashion show that during New York Fashion Week, I believe last year, this last, New York Fashion Week, which was a couple of months ago, Angela was supposed to walk in her fashion show. She didn't show up for the fitting, then she didn't show up for the show. Angela was like, you know what happened? I was in a meeting, a really big deal that could change my life, and the meeting ran over and I just couldn't get there. Like, why are you bringing that up now? And they sort of got into the argument and Angela walked off. Now, I see where Angela is coming from, because the one thing I can't stand is when you are having a conversation with somebody about one thing or argument and they bring up everything you've ever done or shit from the past. So I get that Vanessa was upset by what happened. However, you bringing that up now in this situation, there really was no connection, and I understand why Angela got upset. Even though I think Angela was probably wrong for leaving Vanessa hanging with the whole fashion show thing. When she didn't show up for the fitting, that was probably a pretty good indication that she wasn't going to show up for the show. Because, I'm not in the fashion world and I'm no expert, but I know for a fashion show, the fitting is very important to make sure that it's going to fit the model. And if Angela was supposed to be the model, I don't know how y'all thought she was going to walk in the show, but neither here nor there, you feel like Angela blew you off, and you took this as the opportunity to talk about it, and it turned into a really big argument. So later on, we see Vanessa talking to JoJo about it, and JoJo sort of takes Vanessa's side, but what he did say was, look, I think we all need to sit down together because then I can hear both sides at the same time and let y'all know how I feel about the whole situation, which I think was fair, because a lot of times when you're only hearing one side of the story, of course you're going to side with that side, because I'm going to give you my argument that's going to make me look good and make the other person look bad. So, Boogie said, hey, I said Boogie. JoJo said, look, let's just sit down and talk about it. So that's kind of where that storyline sort of ended. Uh, Pap, Egypt, and Titi. This is stupid. Basically, they're upset because they feel like they weren't invited to the intervention and they feel slighted. They feel like, okay, it's not about you. The intervention wasn't about you. That whole situation with Boogie is not about you. And it wasn't a party. It wasn't like you didn't make the guest list of the event of the year. Intervention, I don't even know why Christiania was there. Like, I don't even know why half the people who were there were there. Because, like, Christiania was there. I don't know why Christiania was there. Boogie's sister and her sister's boyfriend was there. The sister being there, cool. But the boyfriend, unless, from my understanding of an intervention, you have the people there who have been impacted by the situation. So people that he's lied to get drugs, people that, like his father and his father's girlfriend, who had to come take you to the hospital or pick you up from people's houses, who said, look, we're afraid that Boogie is killing himself. You had the drugs in their house, you had the DUI. Brianna, for the purposes of this show, she worked with your father to set the intervention up, but this wasn't an open call to say anybody who knows Boogie needs to come. That's not what it's about. It's bad enough that he already felt attacked. He already felt ambushed. He need 20 more people in the room. And especially people who really don't have that deep of a connection with him. And Pep felt like, well, if I'm the one being blamed for his spiral, then why can't I be there, or to at least, hear what he has to say or see how I played a part in it. Again, it's not about you. And Boogie absolved you of that when he saw you at the releasing ceremony, where he said, look, it ain't had nothing to do with you. If I was going to spiral, I was going to spiral. It just so happened that I took that drink from you, but it's not your fault. It has nothing to do with you. Don't let my father put that on you. I'm telling you that I was going to do what I was going to do. Done. So that was that storyline. And then, of course, they're going to do this whole Titi Romeo thing, because you see where Egypt is looking at the video from Orlando, and Titi is a little jealous, a little in her feelings or whatever. And then we see Romeo and his friends talking, and of course Romeo's recapping what happened in Orlando, and his friends are like, okay, that's, when he said, well, Angela's just not ready for a relationship right now, they were like, all right, well, what about Titi? And Romeo's like, she's cool, she's a sweetie, she's pretty and all that, but I just never thought of pushing up on her. I never even thought of it that way. But then later, at the end of the episode, we see Boogie. I keep saying Boogie. It's time for me to get the Boogie. We see Romeo hit her up, talking about, you want to hang out. So I guess now that Ange is shot you down, you're going to pursue the whole TTP. So we'll see where that goes next week, because that's where that ended. Now for the main event. Boogie's biggest thing with this, first of all, Boogie doesn't think he has a problem. So, and most addicts don't. I mean, we saw that earlier this week with Tommy and on Love and Hip Hop. Most addicts, that's their rock bottom is when they finally realize, I need help. So the problem or the downfall of an intervention is you're sort of forcing the person to accept their problem before they're ready to accept their problem. But interventions are usually a last-ditch effort. And I genuinely feel like Dame felt like this was it. Like he had to do this. This was his last-ditch effort with his son. I believe that. Do I think? I believe that. I believe that Brianna, I believe her heart was in the right place. I believe that this is genuine. I don't think it was done for cameras, but I do feel like, how do I say this? I do feel like things were timed for the cameras, if that makes sense. We'll find out later on, which I did find very interesting. But in this moment, I felt this. So we see Boogie go into the hotel room, and he's like, well, what is this, an intervention? And they're like, yeah. And so they start going around the room, which is what an intervention is about. Everybody introduces themselves. The doctors introduce who they are and why they're there. And they explain the concern, explain why this is going on. Dame sort of started off saying this is how he felt, and this is why he felt like it had to be done. I don't know if they had already predetermined the order, but Christinia goes next. And Christinia is telling, when I first met you, you were a go-getter, you were a hustler, and now, I just don't see that. I kind of wish that Christinia had used her own situation. Maybe Boogie would have seen it like from that point of view, to say, hey, I saw this in my own family. My family, my father, and the struggle that I've had with my family and with drugs. because that's real for her. And again, that's real life. That's not reality TV. That is been her real struggle. I mean, in the first two seasons, we saw her father disappearing and her looking for her dad and her dad being in jail. Like, we know that. We know Elder Barge has struggled with, drugs. Like, so we know it's a real struggle for her. And again, I don't know about editing. Maybe she did bring it up, but I kind of wish they had shared that, because I think that would have maybe made a connection for Boogie. But neither here nor there. When Christiania is talking, and the reason why I'm only saying this because it comes back later. Christiania is talking, and I don't know if it was edited this way, but she stopped talking. I thought she was done. Brianna thought she was done. So Brianna started talking. Well, while Brianna is talking, Christiania starts talking over Brianna. I don't understand why Christiania did that. And of course, it pissed Brianna off. But Brianna was like, I'm really pissed off in this moment. But this is about Boogie. It's not about me. I'm going to chill out. But she's pissed. And I don't know if I've been pissed, but I would have been upset too, because, again, it looked like Christiania was done. And so why she would continue to start talking again and then talk over Brianna, I don't know. But that starts that conflict, and we'll get to them in a minute. So the doctor's asking Boogie, I see you making a face. How you feel about it? And Boogie was like, I feel like this whole thing is bullshit. Like, when when Dame's girlfriend starts crying, he was like, cameras come on, the tears come out. Like, he really feels like all of this is being done for the camera. And his thing was, I would have had more respect for you, talking to his dad, if you had done this without the cameras. Like, I don't understand why the cameras are here. If this is really your concern and you so worried about me, why are we doing this for TV? And so Dane was like, all right, fine, cut the cameras off. And of course, they trying to do a show. They ain't really trying to cut the cameras off. And you see Dane threatening them and pushing them, out the room or whatever. And they go on the balcony and keep taping. But it's more audio than visual. At that point, you don't really see anything. You just kind of see the window. But you hear them continuing to talk. And Dame's like, okay, the camera's gone. And, Boogie is listening. What triggered Boogie was when Dame said, when Dame gave him the ultimatum. And Dame was like, either you're going to go to rehab tonight or the show, or you're not taping the show anymore. Now, again, I felt last week the same way I felt. The same thing Boogie said. Like, I'm not no child. How you gonna tell me either you go to rehab or you can't do the show no more? Like, I'm grown. Like, you can't tell me I can't do the show. And so he gets up and that was it for him. Like, he got up and walked out. And Christiania was like, I'm surprised he stayed here as long as he did. Me too. Because he was irritated as soon as he figured out what it was, he was irritated. But to his credit, he did stay and listen to the doctors and what people were saying or whatever. But that was just it for him. And he was like, my dad has to control everything. He is so controlling. Like, I can't do this with him anymore. So we see him outside. Of course, the cameras follow him. Brianna follows him. And the doctors are talking to him like, well, can you just agree? Can you just go down to the rehab and talk to them? Can you just, can you talk to them and just kind of, and he's like, what? Why I got to talk to them? So they going back and forth. But he finally agrees to go to the rehab. I don't know what they said to him. I don't know what the magic words were, but he did agree to go. I don't think he thought he was going to stay, but he agreed to at least go down there and hear what they had to say. At the same time that this is going on, well, all of this is going on at the same time. Like, it was a chaotic situation. Boogie is actually calling people to come pick him up. I don't know who he was calling, but he's calling people, somebody named Al. So the other doctor goes back up to the hotel to talk to Dame and say, we're concerned about his mental health. We're concerned about suicidal ideations, and we may end up having to take him to the hospital to do I forget the number, which I don't know why I forget the number because I've dealt with it in my own family, but basically an involuntary commitment where they have to feel like you're a threat to yourself or a threat to others, and they can take you to the hospital against your will and have you evaluated under psychiatric evaluation for 72 hours, I believe, 48 or 72 hours. So telling Dame that they may end up having to do that. So Dame is on his way downstairs to talk to Boogie, but at the same time, Boogie is outside agreeing to go to rehab. But Dame doesn't know that. Dame doesn't know that Boogie has agreed to go. So when he comes out, y'all know how Dame is. He comes out and he's like, yo Boogie, they're gonna take you to the hospital, man. If you don't agree, they're gonna take you to the hospital. They're gonna do whatever the number is, and they're gonna make you go. They're gonna make you go. And Boogie's like, what are you talking about? Like, where's this coming from? I'm just saying the doctors. They say they're worried about your mental health, your mental state. So the doctor comes over to Dame and is like, yo, he's agreed to go. Like, I'm going to need you to shut the fuck up. Like, before you piss him off again. And he says he's not going. He's agreed to go. And Dame was like, oh, all right, well, cool. Then everything's cool. And he tries to give Boogie a hug. And he's like, I love you. You're doing the right thing. And, Boogie's like, get off me. Like, he's like, all right, whatever, Dad, get off me. Like, get off me. Like, stop hugging me. Like, get off me. He's still pissed off. He's still irritated, but he has agreed to go, and now I guess they're just waiting to get the transportation and stuff together. At the same time, everybody else comes out of the hotel room, so now Christinia's out there, all the doctors are out there, Adonis, I don't know where the fuck Adonis came from, but Adonis was there, Brianna's there, like all of that. And Christinia, one of the doctors went to go hug, because everybody's getting ready to say goodbye. So one of the doctors went to go hug Christinia to say, thank you for coming. I really appreciate what you did. And Brianna makes a smart ass comment to Christinia talking about, you can speak to me too. I am a person. I am human. And Christinia was like, I spoke to you when you came in. I said hi. I don't know what more you want from her. Like, you have treated her like shit. You've talked to her crazy. You call her all kinds of names. What do you expect from her? Like, you can't treat me like shit and then get mad when I return the favor. Like, you can't do that. And so the cameras were not on them at that moment. So and I rolled it back like 2 or 3 times. So if y'all saw it, tell me. I don't really know what happened next. And it sounded like something was bleeped out. Like they didn't make the bleep sound. It was just kind of silent. Next thing you know, Brianna and Christinia are about to fight. And all you hear Christinia say is, call me a bitch one more time. Call me a bitch again. And Adonis is in between them trying to break them up. And then Brianna is like, why you got your grown ass hands on me? You a grown ass man. Get your hands off of me. And he was like, yo, I'm just trying to keep y'all from fighting. Like, I'm not trying to grab you. He was like, I didn't even put my hands on you. I'm just trying to keep y'all from fighting. So they, the doctors are pulling Brianna, they pulling Christinia apart or whatever, and they're like straight still going at it. And Dame is like, yo, this don't have nothing to, like, this ain't about y'all. Like, my son is fighting for his life, and y'all fighting over some bullshit right now. Which, Dame, I agree with you 100%. Christinia, you was wrong for cutting Brianna off, and Brianna was still pissed off about it. But Brianna, the comment you made was just a little petty ass comment to make anyway. Like, you did it just for the pettiness. You did it just to be catty. And like Christinia said, she was like, I'm not scared of you. You're just a bully. And she's been bullying me, since day one. And I'm just not doing it anymore. And I'm not afraid of her. And so, of course, Brianna's like, oh, she think I'm a bully. She think I'm a bully. I'm going to bully her every time I see her now. I'm going to bully her every time. You are a fucking bully. You're nasty for no reason. Your attitude is horrible for no reason. Like, people have not done anything to you and you are just nasty. Like, you're one of those people that feel like keeping it real equals being nasty, and it doesn't. You don't have to be mean to people and nasty to people to be real. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do that, but you are. And Christinia is just like, I'm not taking it anymore. I'm just not taking it anymore. Now, I don't know why Adonis was there. Like, Christinia, I'm really trying to rock with you with this whole Adonis is my producer thing. But I don't know why he was there. I don't know why he keeps popping up. No. But they get they get Boogie in the car. Brianna's with Boogie, and they're on their way to rehab. And, of course, she's still talking about Christinia this and Christinia that. And Boogie's like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, he's just so over the whole thing. I'm surprised he didn't just walk off while they were arguing. Because they would have never known. With all that going on, they would have never known they lost Boogie. He'd have been off back at the crack house. I don't know. So then we see a scene with Boogie actually talking to a therapist at the rehab center. Boogie said he was drinking lean, drinking alcohol, smoking weed, and popping Xanax. But he didn't have a drug problem. But something he said that was very interesting was, he said one of the times that his father picked him up from the hospital, he said when they were leaving, his father said, "You need rehab, but I'm not going to pay for it. It's too expensive." And so Boogie's thing was, so now all of a sudden that the cameras are around, now you so concerned about me, now you so concerned about my welfare, but you told me months ago I need a rehab, but you just weren't going to pay for it. Now all of a sudden it's go to rehab or else. I can see Dame Dash saying that, but I also feel like we're only getting one side of that story. I'm not saying that he said it. I'm just saying I could see him saying it. But we're also only getting one side of the story. And I also feel like that might be before. I don't know. I don't know. But I still hold true to what I'm saying. And I just feel like they don't need to be taping. I know everybody got a show to make. I know they want the ratings and all of that. But I just don't feel like this needs to be videotaped. Like, this is not. This is this man. This is this boy's real life. And it's not. I mean, it is a storyline, but it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. So I'm just gonna pray for Boogie. I hope that I mean, of course, this show has already been taped, so he is where he is doing what he's doing, and I just pray that he gets the help that he needs and he makes the decision and makes the choice for himself. Because the downfall to interventions is that you might get the short term victory, which they got him to rehab, but is it going to stick? Is any of it going to stick? I don't know. So y'all tell me what y'all think in them comments. Like I said, I hope you like this video, and so go ahead and subscribe. Peace.